Hello everybody. Today is May 1st, 2023. I hope you've had a wonderful winter and are looking forward to a fantastic summer season of sailing. We have spent the past winter living aboard Paragon in the city of Stornoway in the Western Isles of Scotland, and we're just about to push off to sail about 250 nautical miles up to the Faroe Islands. We spent this past winter doing a lot of research and a lot of voyage planning for this summer, and we're really excited because our plan is to go to a whole bunch of places that we've never sailed to before. As I said, we're going to sail up to Faroe, and then we'll spend about a month there, and then sail back down to Scotland and spend 2 to 3 months sailing Scottish waters. Then we'll go to the east coast of Ireland, spend about a month going down to the southern coast of Ireland to the city of Dingle. There we'll wait for a weather window to sail offshore to Portugal. Our plan is then to spend 3 solid months moving all over Portugal, going to as many places as we can, all the way down to the southernmost part of Portugal, and then we will jump to Morocco, where we're planning to install ourselves in a marina, probably in the capital of Rabat. And that's the plan for the next 6 months. It's going to start now. And I thought I would show you how we figure out weather and figure out weather windows and figure out when the best day is for pushing off to sail to the next place using an app called Predict Wind. So right here on my MacBook Pro, I'm going to run the Predict Wind app. Here you can see its app icon. It's a globe with a start point and an end point for a voyage route. Run that. Go full screen. And here's a map of the world, and I'm going to zoom in to show you exactly where we are right now. These are the Western Isles of Scotland, and we are in the town of Stornoway right here. The first thing we'll do is we'll tell Predict Wind where we're going to start and then where we're going to finish our voyage by dragging this start point right here, and then I'm going to drag this endpoint up to the Faroe Islands, close to where we are going to make our landfall. And then you can see this line between the start point and the endpoint goes through land, so that's not going to work. To fix that, I will add some waypoints right here by clicking on this plus button. See, I've just added a few waypoints and drag them around the islands. I will click on this download button right here, and then I'm going to tell Predict Wind when we want to push off, potentially. Right here, May 2nd at 10 a.m. We figure that'll be the earliest we'll want to push off, tomorrow at 10 a.m. And here I check departure planning option and these weather models to download. PWG and PWE are weather models made by Predict Wind, and ECMWF is a weather model made by the European people, and GFS is a weather model made by the American people. Alright, click on Next, and then Download. Now this is happening over a cellular internet connection, so it's pretty fast. Alright, it's done downloading all the files. And the first thing that we see is this table, which has all this really amazing information that really makes it a lot easier to figure out what day is good for your voyage. We have our first departure time, May 2nd, that's tomorrow at 10 a.m. And then I've chosen to do additional departure times spaced out by every 24 hours. It tells me here on this row the passage time that it estimates it'll take us to get there Those are all really good times for getting up to Faroe. It's basing this on knowing that our boat can sail at about 6 knots on a beam reach and downwind, and also knowing that we will motor if we are going under 5 knots so that we can maintain 5 knots. It tells the percentage of time we'll spend going upwind, reaching, or downwind. It's all really useful information. I like this first day. 94% of the time will be spent reaching if we push off tomorrow, and then only 69% of the time reaching if we push off the next day, and 55 and 41. I can see that no matter what day we push off, we have very little upwind sailing, which is great. All of these days look great. Then down here, percentage of time with wind against current for bad seas. Can see that if we push off on the first day, we're going to spend 17% of the time in potentially rougher conditions with wind against current. And then you can see the wave situation down here. I would probably not want to go on departure 3 day, because then we would spend 70% of the time in 2 to 3 meter waves, and you always want to go with the least amount of waves. Looks like the best option for that would be tomorrow, because we're 52% of the time in 1 to 2 meter waves. Then we have this map animation. It will show us the boats pushing off, and I will switch this to showing these wind speed indicators, which I prefer. Alright, we're going to click on play, and then we're coming up on Tuesday, May 2nd at 10 a.m. First boat pushes off now in really light conditions. Light, then the winds increase, but not too much. 15 to 20, a little more, 20, probably a little higher, and then arriving in 20 knots of wind. That's the first boat. Here's the second boat pushing off in windier conditions than the first boat did, having a nice broad reach, but 25 knots there. Saw that for a moment. Well, maybe too much wind on that second day. Look at the third day. If we push off the third day at 10 a.m., stronger winds a little bit there, and then we've got more wind out here to our east. If we push off on the fourth departure day, we push off in really light stuff, and then the winds increase. We have a nice broad reach, but probably too light winds. We probably have to motor to get our 5 knots. Yeah, the fourth day looks more like it would have a much higher percentage of motoring in it. Yeah. So I don't really like the fourth day. The third day has all of this stronger wind out here, and so we run the risk that it might go a little more to the west and we might get caught in that. The second day encounters like 25 knots right here, windier period right there. And then the first day arrives in 20 knots. But the sail itself looks pretty awesome. And what I also like about leaving on the first day, which is tomorrow, is we push off in much lighter conditions than the second, third, and fourth days. I wouldn't mind out of the gate just being under power for the first 10 hours. So maybe the first 10 hours motoring before the winds pick up, but maybe that's going to be just fine. Let's look at that table again. What do you think is the best day for pushing off? I like if we push off on the first day, 90% of the time is spent between 8 and 20 knots, and only 3% of the time is in winds between 20 and 30 knots. This is, I think, going to be the better range to be in. Whereas if we push off on the second day or the third day, then we're spending a lot more time in higher wind between 20 and 30. Yeah, I'd rather not do that. The fourth day doesn't look bad, but it's also 4 days out, and the weather may change in between now and then. So I think we've got a good window for pushing off tomorrow. I think that's what we're going to do. Good morning. We decided not to push off this morning because we looked at the updated predicted wind weather forecast and it had changed a little bit. Just going to show you what we found here on the phone version of the app. If we had pushed off this morning, then we would have had a really great looking sail getting up to Faroe, but we decided not to go today because it has us arriving in like 25 knots of wind, and that's the change. It's now windier by the time we get there, and there are a lot of really fast currents in Faroe, and we didn't want to deal with high winds and fast currents as we're trying to make our landfall. So that's too windy. Second boat leaving tomorrow is also in like 25 knots. We could probably do that just fine, but if we don't have to, I'd rather not go in winds quite that strong. The third boat has even more wind. This low pressure builds up here. Now it's just like really too windy for our comfort level. And then the fourth boat, originally I thought the fourth day wouldn't be a good day to push off, but now I think it's our best option. Pushes off in light conditions, never gets too much wind. It's all downwind, and it arrives in 15 to 20 knots of wind, but not 25 plus knots of wind. So that's a much nicer conditions for our landfall. So that's the update. We decided not to go today. Instead, we're going to do a lot of boat projects and push off probably on Friday. We'll see what happens. The weather may change again in the next 24 hours. Who knows? As soon as we find a really good window to go tomorrow and we check the weather in the morning, it still looks good, then we will go. But now we're going to postpone. Walking down the street by myself.